This is The Bad Listener with Danny Stroh.
So the format is you pick an album, any album you want, doesn't matter, genre, time period, doesn't matter, right? You tell me what the album is. I pick an album based on that genre, and we both listen to both those albums, and then we basically just come here and talk about them. So you get to, talk about an album that you love. I get to talk about an album that I love, and then since they're the same genre, we can, say, I like this about this one, and kind of compare, not compare them. I don't think any music should really be compared, but since they're the same genre, it's kind of cool because you get to maybe hear something new or look at things differently. The other thing that's cool about it is it was funny. I guess we can get into the first album, right? It was funny. I was gonna buy it just to have it here, but I couldn't find the one that I picked, which I actually wanted on. I was like, it's a good time to buy. I couldn't even find it.
I looked too. I couldn't find it anyway.
But your pick was Japandroids.
Celebration
Rock, right?
Yeah, great album.
And it's a great album. You know what's funny? I remember when it came out, and I remember listening to it, and I remember I was like, oh, this is like a pretty good album. And it was funny. I for whatever reason I haven't listened to it in a long time. And when you picked the album, I was like, all right. I was like, I think I could remember like a song or two. I think I know a song or two off that album. But I was like, obviously I'm going to go back and listen to the whole thing from front to back. Listening to the whole thing from front to back, I knew almost every song. I couldn't believe it. And it was almost like, I was like, oh man, I love this song. I was like, damn, I forgot this thing existed. I'm like, this is nuts. So it was fun going back and listening to that and I don't want to say listen to it in a new light. I probably listened to it. Would it come out like 2014?
Yeah, I'll say around there.
Around there, so 10 years ago. So maybe last time I listened to it was like 2016. Maybe it was a long time ago, but it was a lot of fun to listen to, and it really kind of got me back into the band because I remember the album came out. I was kind of really into them, and then their next album was Post. Or was that the one before? They had two
Post
big
Nothing's is
Post Nothing,
first
right?
one, I think.
Is the first one. That was before Celebration, right?
Yeah.
I remember both those albums coming out because they had similar covers and stuff like that. And I remember listening to both those albums and then never really listening to an album. Whatever it was, they probably just fell off whatever I was listening to. But it's actually a really fun album to listen to, especially it's got that garage punk, the popish feel, which is nice. Yeah. And they kind of changed their sound. It's not one of those albums where every song sounds very similar. Right. I remember what was the song I was listening to? For the Love of Ivy is the name of the song. That song was so cool because it was so different the way they recorded that than the rest of it. I love the feel of that and how they're able to jump around and stuff. It was really good. Yeah. And you've seen them live before,
right?
A
couple times. Great show. I mean, and it's just two guys and these big anthemic sing-along songs, and the audience is all in.
Oh yeah. That's their big thing. That's how you say people will be like, all right, it's garage punk, but it's no, but they have this kind of popish feel to it where you get this kind of you get to sing the anthems and all that, so it's not this your normal run-of-the-mill garage punk band. What was I going to say? So when they perform live, it's only two guys live, or they have other?
Just the two of them.
So it's just
guitar and drum.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah, two guys.
And it's recorded like that too? Every song is recorded?
I think so, yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
If you listen to it, I always listen to hear the other effects, and no, I think it's just them two.
Wow.
It's really,
That's pretty impressive.
How they have a big sound, which is two guys, is impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really get that, because there are bands that are just two guys, but then they'll record, they'll record multiple instruments, and then they'll have a road crew that'll come on. So, it's really, that's kind of the whole thing with Tame Impala is just Kevin Parker. Yeah. But he's, when he plays live, we got five guys up there, but they're technically not the band, I guess. It's just Kevin Parker.
Yeah, just hired musicians.
Right, yeah. I wonder if is that the same with the Black Keys? Because Black Keys is just two guys.
It's two guys, same thing. Yeah, same thing. Guitar and drum.
So that's the same. When they perform. Have you ever seen them live?
I have not seen them live.
Oh, okay. But when they perform live, do you think it's just two guys?
I think so. Maybe they have a backing track, but as far as I know, no. I think it's just the two of them. Which is again, same thing. The big sound from two small guys.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
I mean, almost hearing a band with two guitars, bassist, drums, whatever. It almost feels like you couldn't just record two instruments and it's to sound the same. You think it would sound wildly different.
Yeah.
At least I would. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a musician though.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, go into,
Yeah. Music theory.
not music theory, like what the instruments sound. I'm my knowledge of the, performing with instruments. I don't know. That's why I don't watch a band. Like, you ever see a band with two drummers?
Yeah.
Why?
Percussion. Yeah.
I'm like, how do they do that?
Yeah, in time together.
Instead, like, I'm like, if one guy's off by a little bit, like, you think the whole thing would just blow up. Like,
yeah. That's why they fight.
You have to be on, like, perfect timing with each other the entire time.
Yeah.
Or at least you would think. Maybe not, but I would think.
You practice.
At least the bass, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've got two basses going. I don't even understand how it works.
Yeah, like when you see like the bands come together and it's all of them on stage, it's like, how is this not? It's a mess of sound.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I get it with, like, two different guitar riffs, but, like, when you get two sets of drums, I'm like, how are they, like, it boggles my mind how they're able to do that. Like, I feel like there's another level of expertise in drumming to be able to be in sync with another drummer and then make it sound perfect. Like, it goes crazy to me. One of my favorite bands is that, the OCs does that. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and they do that?
Yeah.
Check them out, too.
What, you never listened to the OCs?
No.
Oh, man, I should have picked them. You know what's funny? I almost did, but I didn't. They did. So this is my thing with picking, because people are going to ask me, well, how did you pick the band or the album and the band from that? And the whole thing with that is, I try to, like, not... First off, I try to not do a complete layup. Like, I don't want to pick an album that everybody's heard a million times, because it's like, what am I doing here? Like, everyone's heard it, you've heard it. Like, yeah, we could talk about it.
What can we say about it that anyone hasn't said?
Yeah, and you're not, like, nobody's really learning anything, or, it's not like you're not, maybe, if I did some type of research, you get insight on it, but, like, I try not to do, like, a complete layup. And at the same time, I want something that is like the same genre, but doesn't sound exactly the same.
Yeah.
So it's not like I picked two albums that are like so similar, where it's like almost you're listening to the same thing, but they're in the same realm. So it was funny because, like, I wanted to pick the OCs just based on, because they're like a garage punk band, but I wanted something that felt a little bit more like Japandroids, where you get that kind of like pop feel to it, like that punk pop feel. So my pick was Royal Headaches High. So have you ever heard that album before?
No, before. No. I loved it.
You loved it, right?
I loved it. Dude. It was great.
So they broke up actually.
Yeah,
that was their last.
The singer has a new project.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
I didn't look into it.
Very similar. Yeah.
It,
they have like one EP out. It actually came out I think like last month.
Oh yeah.
It's solid. Yeah, I listened to it before.
So it's funny how, like, that band, they have that pop type of feel to it, but it sounds so different from Japandroids.
Yeah.
But I mean, technically, you're like, it's garage punk with this popish feel, but it's very different. So I thought it would be cool to pick that album, since I love the album to begin with. Like, I remember when that album came out, and I think both those albums are like almost from the same year. It's like very, very close in time when they were recorded. But that album, I remember when it came out, I was like, wow, this sounds so different from anything I've heard before. Mm-hmm. The only band I can really compare the sound to is like, it's almost like the Misfits. Like, it has like this very Misfits feel, but Misfits went to like the horror side, and they're kind of like on the poppy side, but it's almost like, it sounds crazy. It almost sounds like a 50s feel to it.
Literally had the exact same. My thought was it could have fit in at the same era of like Iggy Pop.
Yeah.
It's that 70s punk where it's like kind of underproduced, but still you get the same sound.
Well, that's that garagey feel, this like underproduced garage. And if you listen to their first album, it's way underproduced than that one. I mean, not that it's bad, like the first album was good too, but you can tell the production difference was like way less produced than that one. But but it was the same thing where I haven't listened to that album probably 7 or 8 years. Yeah. So I was like going back to listen to them, like, oh my god, I remember, I love this song. This is great. You go like almost every song on that album. Like I was just like having a ball with it. So it was like
it's great.
A fun project. Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, similar experience with Japandroids. I hadn't listened to the album in full in so long.
Yeah.
And it worked out like when I gave it to you, they had just put out like their last album.
Oh, yeah.
And then they said they'd like to break it up.
Retiring.
Really? Yeah, so like one of the guys in the band got sober, and he's like, I can't go on tour and stay sober. It's impossible. So he's like, I have to just end the project. So they put out like one last album, like it's like a solid fan service kind of album that was for the fans, like, and that's it. Yeah. They're never going to tour, and they're done. It's too bad. 'Cause I liked it. It's good. I'd give it like a solid 7 out of 10 to anyone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah. It's, again, like same production style, same style. Guitar, drums. That's it.
Yeah, that's wild. I still can't get over that it's only 2 instruments.
Yeah.
I knew it was 2 guys, but like, in my head I'm like, oh, they probably have like other guys that played the instrument. Maybe they just record all the instruments.
Possible, yeah.
You know, like who did that? Dave Grohl on the first Foo Fighters album.
Yeah, he did it all
recorded
himself.
every single instrument himself, and then
Yeah.
put the band together afterward.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
You gotta respect shit like that, man. I mean,
Yeah.
they're able to put a whole album together by yourself.
Yeah. It had the confidence and the ability to record every
Oh yeah,
instrument.
but you're that good with every instrument that you're like, screw it, I'll do every instrument myself separately, like.
And record it and throw it together.
You always think of like bands like creating music like together, where you're all like putting it together like at the same time. He had to do everything completely separate.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And
like,
piece it together.
And piece it together, right?
Yeah.
Which seems almost impossible because the only way you could hear it together is like recording it and then layering the recordings together, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. I can't think of like before that how many people really did that. Who had the technology to do that. To kind of layer the sounds.
Oh, you mean like
physically being able to
like
separately.
pre-90s? You mean like before that time?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that was the problem. Well, yeah, I guess because they didn't really have computers back in the 70s.
I guess you could physically do it. I guess like record.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe there's a
tape.
way with different recorders. I mean that's beyond me. But
yeah, like I said, we're not a.
I would. Yeah, I don't know enough about. I've never even been in a studio. I have
Just
no
setting
idea.
up this was a little tough.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. There's like 3 pieces of equipment, and I was losing my mind for a good 20 minutes.
Nice.
But
we're here. We made it.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's smooth sailing from here. Actually, it's not smooth sailing from here. I have to video edit this, which is gonna drive me crazy.
Oh yeah. Good luck with that.
After that, it's like smooth.
We'll just start ironing out of the kinks. Yeah.
Yeah. Once I figure it out, it'll get easier as I go, I'm sure. But yeah, I want it to. Once it gets to a point where I know what I'm doing and it's just fun, and I don't have to worry about how am I going to do this, how am I going to do this. It's like it. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. It's the format, yeah.
So the other thing I was going to talk about, which I was thinking of doing, was adding a 3rd album review to each episode, right? So, but I wanted it to be like the 3rd one is like one of the greatest albums of all time type of thing.
Okay.
So we pick like one that maybe everybody knows, maybe not.
But fits in the genre of the 2 albums.
But fits in the genre of the 2 albums. But loosely.
Yeah.
Not,
Doesn't have to be it.
like when I picked mine, I tried to get like really into that.
Yeah.
Like I could have picked any rock album, right?
Yeah,
Like I mean but I tried to do it as closely as that to kind of try and match it, to try and get like a good feel of it.
I think we did, yeah.
Because like it's, because when I originally thought of the concept, that's what I had in mind. I was like, oh, they could pick anything, and if it's rock, I could just pick like Pink Floyd, and it's like, all right, but then you're not really like, it's not really. I wanted to try to challenge myself, and I don't want to ruin the picks for Zach's episode because I want to release them obviously during the episode, but I did the same thing with his, and I think it was a pretty nice compliment too, and I think doing it that way is nice. But I feel like if I keep doing that, nobody's ever going to pick obvious ones. And I think it would be cool to kind of like almost do a deep dive into like a really, really great record,
right.
A great album that was created like wherever, whatever time. So I think it would be cool, to do like something like a Pink Floyd album or something, do Dark Side of the Moon or Wish You Were Here or whatever. Would be like a cool thing to do on top of like what we're doing, because that's kind of easy. Like the record already. Yeah. Like it's cool to talk about, and then like you probably know, it's cool to go back and listen to something from front to back. Yeah. And back then, those albums were made to listen from front to. That was the only way you listened to it. Like you listened to a song on the radio, or you bought the record. Yeah. You physically had to buy the record, put it on, and just listen to it from front to back. Like there was like no you didn't know where the songs were unless you were like marking your record.
You had to like easily put it on. You're not doing that. Yeah. And they were
taking pieces of tape. Like this one starts here.
No. Yeah,
the only reason why I actually thought of that was I've seen DJs do that for like there was this video. There's no point pulling it up, but there's this video of the DJ A-Track. A-Track started doing DJ competitions when he was like 14 or something, and he like won this crazy. I think he's from Canada. He won some crazy, like live mix competition, and the video's on YouTube. It's wild because it's like a kid, and he's like beating out these adults. He was wildly good at it, but in order to be able to do that, you had to know, because he only had records.
Yeah.
There was no digital anything.
Yeah.
So you had to know where the track started that you wanted to mix in. You didn't have time to search for it. What I mean? So they would take these little pieces of tape and like, okay, this is exactly where it is. So when you put it on, like, all right, there's the tape. And then you take the needle and put the needle right where the tape is. Because there was like no other way to do it. Like you had to do it that way. And it's funny, I watched and I'm seeing like, why does he got tape? I'm like, oh, so he knows where the track starts. I'm like,
it's the only way you can market it without it.
Yeah, like, because you can't, you don't want to mess up the vinyl. Like you can't, like, what are you going to take a paint or something, like whatever you do, you want to be able to like take it off and it doesn't like mess the vinyl up. So they would use, I guess, like little stickers or like little pieces of colored tape and like put them on there so they knew exactly where to put their needle when they were just throwing them on real quick. Just still wild and crazy to me watching that stuff. But yeah, I mean, like right, and it's and I think that's also going back to how they used to. I think it's crazy to think because now almost nobody listens to records from front to back. Because nobody buys. Yeah. I mean, I do, but nobody buys records, or like even if it's. I mean, maybe some people do on Spotify. An album comes out, you listen to it from front to back, but the chances are you started listening to songs on that record before because they released singles. So it's almost like maybe you jump around, or I think just a lot of people just take songs they like and put them into a playlist, and now you have like 3 songs off this album, but you never really listen to it from front to back. And the other argument against this is, are artists really creating records to be listened to from front to back now? You know what I mean? So which kind of sucks, but
used to be thought of deep. Like they would arrange the album in a way that it's meant to be listened to in the way they wanted you to. Right. Now it's just put everything good at the front and the rest they don't care about. Yeah. We're losing the art of album making.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are some people who still do it. Like,
there's definitely people out there still.
Especially if you're doing like some type of concept album, but I mean, people still do, I guess, like intros. Like there's like intro songs, like, so I guess it's not completely lost, but I feel like with the more commercial music, it's probably lost. Like, they're not going to really care about that type of stuff. You're just trying to sell records based on 1 or 2 songs.
If they even sell records,
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I keep selling. I don't even know how do they make their money now? Plays off Spotify and
I guess,
I guess a lot of it is concerts now. That is how they're making a lot of their money.
Merch and lives. Yeah, that's about it. And the artist doesn't get any of it.
From
not any of it, but they do. But the cut's getting smaller and smaller. If you listen to a lot of the artists, they're saying it's getting harder and harder to make any kind of money.
I remember somebody telling me that a while ago, and they were saying like the amount of money that the venue makes compared to the artist is like it's not even comparable. Like they take almost everything. Yeah.
Off the top, it's like half just ticket sales. Then it's merch cuts now.
What do you mean merch cuts? What is that?
Oh, like venues are taking cuts of the merch when you buy.
Oh my god!
It's awful. A lot of them are really starting to complain. Like the band Gojira.
It's so unreal though because what are they contributing to that at all? That's crazy.
Bands are like, all right, give us a cut of the bar and we'll give you our cut of our merch.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You're selling drinks based on our show, right? Yeah. How much money are you making off the bar? Yeah. And then you're going to take cuts of our merch? Yeah. Like, that's absurd. I didn't even know that was going on. That's absurd.
The band Gojira was like, one show, they were trying to take like 30%. They're like, all right, we're not selling merch tonight. Sorry. Like
30%?
Yeah, that was their line. It's bad. Yeah, some venues are taking
like selling in the 20%. Parking lot?
That's your best bet. Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know. There's got to be a better way than the venue. I mean, it's what's crazy though? Like, that's everywhere.
Pretty much, most venues.
Or you're talking about, but it's at like big venues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like or like smaller venues, and they do the same thing.
Some smaller, but like the ones that are like owned by Live Nation, like they're the ones that are doing it. Maybe like smaller independent ones probably aren't. But a lot of venues are taking like 10, 15, 20%.
I'm pretty sure like the Live Nation and whatever, Ticketmaster venues are mainly just like bigger stadiums, are they not?
They own a lot now. They're buying up. I know they own like Irving Plaza here in the city. They own
they
most places. They buy them straight out,
So what do you mean? Like they own the venue? Like
they own the venue or they basically contract where they're the
because
only
they don't
people
own Madison Square Garden.
No.
So it's like a contract. Yeah. So they're actually buying venues themselves where they own the venue?
Yeah. I mean, it's not all of them, but it's a lot of them. Smaller ones that were probably struggling, especially like during the pandemic, and they couldn't open, they just swooped in, bought them out.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's tough. And bands have no choice. I mean, Pearl Jam fought it in the 90s and they lost.
But what do you mean fought it? Like, what do they do to fight? Like, not play?
Yeah, but then you get stuck in small venues or venues that aren't, the best.
Well, I mean, I guess the problem with small venues is you just can't sell as many tickets, right?
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, you can perform wherever you want, right?
Essentially, yeah.
It's just yeah. I mean, I guess at some point you have to find like the happy medium. Like, how many tickets can you sell at Madison Square Garden? Okay, they take this, and this, but it's still more than what I would make at a smaller venue that's not part of Live Nation, right? They try to toe that line.
They're trying to fight it that maybe if we don't perform here, bands stop going here, maybe they'll change it, but it doesn't seem like that's happening.
Well, that was Zach Bryan did that whole battle too, right?
Yeah.
All my homies hate Ticketmaster.
Yeah, another guy
so
lost.
He played. So he played at Barclays.
Yeah.
He's playing in Barclays Center next month, right?
Yeah, again.
But so he played. What's that venue in Queens?
UBS Arena or
no,
Forest Hill.
Forest Hills.
Yeah.
So Forest Hills isn't associated. I guess they're not in contract with Live Nation. But that's a pretty big venue.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that venue's got to be worth it.
Yeah.
Really, the only thing that stinks about that venue for me is the getting there. Because it's so out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty big venue to not be
a smaller, but it's still an arena. Technically,
technically. But I mean, arena, no arena, whatever. How many? I mean, it's gotta sell a lot of tickets.
I gotta guess at least 10,000 probably, in that area.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty big space. I mean, I'm just comparing it to like the smaller venues that I've been to in Brooklyn and Manhattan, where you're clearly not getting more than I would think. I don't know, 1,000 if that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're going to Warsaw on Sunday. How many people can fit in Warsaw? Like, I would think like 100, 200.
Yeah, it's not. It's literally, it's literally like a Polish, like a event space, like a wedding venue reception.
What do they call it?
Yeah, wedding hall. Like and then they have bands come on in between.
Yeah, which is what. Oh, I never even realized this. So you think they don't do concerts on Friday, Saturday?
I wonder. I mean, if they have all their events, they probably don't have anything.
I never even noticed that, but now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I feel like I have only gone there really on the weekdays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a while though, so maybe they changed that.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a long time. I want to actually say, damn, when was the last time I was there? I think the last time I was there might have been to see the OC's. Wow, if this is true, that's crazy. It would be when me and my wife got engaged, which would have been 2017. Wow, 7 years ago. It probably hasn't changed. Though. It probably looks.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, I don't think.
Not that.
If it's in the same spot, I don't think they really did anything. But yeah, I'm like, how many people can you really fit in there? I mean, a couple hundred.
I think at most,
right? Like 200. Like it's a very small place.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the smaller. The only place that I think was probably smaller was. Did you ever see anybody at that when Rough Trade was in Williamsburg?
Yeah.
That was pretty small. That was a small place. Yeah. I mean, that you couldn't. That you might. I don't even know if you get 100 into that back room. That was so
probably
small.
Not.
That was a cool little spot, though.
Yeah.
Do you know why they moved to Manhattan?
No.
Because that spot, I thought was. Yeah. I mean, unless like the rent just went through the roof.
It can't be. But
cheaper. Then Manhattan, how could it be cheaper than Manhattan?
It's literally like Rockefeller Center, I think it is. It's literally right next to like where they do.
You were just there,
Radio City, yeah. Yeah, I have the worst memory. Because I know, like, I have to walk past Radio City. It's, like, right next to it. It's connected.
Yeah, so that's got to be more expensive than Williamsburg, I would think.
But it's, like, just a record store now. It's not even, like, they have... It's literally... There's no... events. It's just in the middle of the store.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because you were saying you were going to see them there. And I'm like, oh, they must have set up, like, a room like they did in Williamsburg, but they don't, huh?
It's literally, like, one guy was playing behind the cash register. They had right by the wall. It was the band. It was tight. It was so. I was standing in between like the record.
It's funny when you sent me those videos. I'm like, this place looks small because the place in Williamsburg was huge.
Yeah, it had more space. Yeah. No, this is tiny.
Oh yeah.
It's literally a tiny little record store that they put a band in.
That's.
Yeah. I was surprised because I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, where are they going to put this? I'm like, is there maybe another room I've never seen before?
Everybody come downstairs.
Yeah. And then I walk in and say, nope, it's literally, they're right here. The guitars and drums are set up right on the side.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It's fun. The little mosh pit in the middle of the record store.
Yeah, that was... Well, from the video, I was like, oh, okay, they got a little space. And then, like, the camera... You took that video, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so you turned the camera, and then, like, the doors are right there. Yeah. I'm like carrying them out into the street. I'm like, what? I'm like
literally.
There's no place to play? Like, it's just right there? I was like, it's a pretty funny video.
Yeah.
Those doors look like they were open. Were they just... Yeah. Was it just, like... did you have to buy tickets to that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they did show... I didn't know if it was, like, a free event.
Oh, no, yeah. But you got the vinyl with it. Got the...
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was, I think it was like $30. You got the vinyl in the show. They played like
you probably could have got them to sign the vinyl too.
Yeah, they hung out for a little bit afterwards.
Yeah.
If I had hung out, I probably could have gotten them too.
Yeah,
it was good. One of my favorite small venues I've ever been to. You ever been to Asbury Lanes like years ago?
No, I've never been to a show in Asbury at all. Yeah. I've never been to the Stone Pony. I've
really?
I've never been down there for a show at all, really. And I don't know, like. If there's not like a reason other than, you know, like, well, when I'm looking at shows, I'm not looking at that area. So I'm not like thinking of it. I'm like, oh, let me see what's going on at the Stone Pony. Like, I just never, I never had the opportunity. If somebody was like, yo, I got tickets to go down and see a show in Asbury, I'd 100% go. Other than that, I guess it sucks because you got to drive. And
it's kind of deep from here, especially.
Yeah.
Parking sucks.
Yeah, but we did go to those shows in Philly, right? We went to a show in Philly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, jeez, forgot about that.
Yeah, I think that was Every Time I Die, right?
Yeah.
Every Time I Die in Philly. I actually went down to Philly a bunch of times. I think we went down, me and Zach went down to see Parkway Drive down there too, I think. I don't know why we were going down there other than maybe they weren't playing in New York, which is like always weird to me, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, listen, I love small venues. Like, the smaller the venue... Oh, you never finished what you were saying. I'm sorry, I cut you up. You're talking about Asbury Lanes?
Oh, yeah. We're just talking about small... That's fine. We're talking about small venues because it literally was a bowling alley that they would put a small stage over. Yeah. I saw Every Time I Die there once. They had a circle pit around the ball exchange.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite things. Keith was standing on top with the whole people like going around it.
Oh, that's crazy.
And unfortunately, like we were talking about before, Live Nation, it got bought out. They renovated it and they turned it into like, Brooklyn Bowl? Where it's kind of like...
Right. That's what I was just going to say. Yeah. It sounds like Brooklyn Bowl.
Yeah, but this was like a grungy old, like, literally was from the 50s.
Yeah.
Just never really got fixed up.
Right.
It just stayed like almost like a dive bar bowling alley. And
but it was still operating as a bowling alley?
Yeah, during the
day.
So
what did they do? They put a stage over the lanes when there was a concert?
Literally, yeah.
Wow.
It was great. And then, during the pandemic, they got bought out and then they got renovated and turned into like a high-end bowling alley expense space.
Yeah, those are popular now.
Yeah, everyone loves that.
I mean, Brooklyn Bowl's not bad. It's just weird because they don't shut down the bowling alley for the shows.
Yeah.
So you're on a show over here and there's like people bowling like 20 feet away from you, which isn't bad, I guess. I mean, it's not. I don't hate it. I don't know. The vibe about that place though just isn't like, I don't know. And I don't hate the venue at all. It's just not like the I guess the vibe of like one of these smaller venues that I most be looking for.
Yeah.
The Music Hall of Williamsburg was cool though. That was a cool venue.
Yeah, they have a good setup.
I don't know what that used to be before though, because that had to be something else.
Yeah.
That wasn't always there. I mean, that wasn't always that called that.
Right. As far as I know, it's always been that. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Because I remember that like coming out of nowhere as like a venue to go to, and then when I went there, because I thought it was like a new, like I thought like, oh, maybe they like made, and it looked like an older place. I'm like, this had to be something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I 100% love going to the smaller venue, just because it's just like such a more like, intimate experience with the bands. Like, you go to like an arena show, it's like you're watching them from like a mile away.
Yeah. They pay a fortune to get it.
You pay a fortune, right? Like it's and then the merch on top of it. It's like
$50-$60 for a T-shirt.
Oh my god, yeah, it was crazy numbers for the merch at all those. Yeah. That's what like bothers me the most, because I'm like, they definitely just doing it because now I'm saying they're definitely just doing it because the venue's taking a cut. I'm like, you
have to bring the price up.
You're making nothing off it. No, well, that was my point. So I was saying, wow, so at Irving Plaza, you think they were taking a cut?
Yeah, I'm obviously pretty sure they are, because I know some bands were specifically calling out certain venues. I think the worst was Terminal 5. One band said they were taking 30% of the cut, and their bands were just like, "We're not going to play there anymore. This is insane."
Yeah, I mean, you really shouldn't though. Yeah. I mean, and it's up to them. It's not really up to the fans. Like, what are you going to do? Not go see? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're the band and you're picking the venue, and these venues are I mean, it's one thing if they're screwing over the fans. It's another thing if they're taking some of your profits. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah. I would just be like, especially in New York, there's like 1,000 different venues.
Yeah, you can easily go somewhere else.
Like, if you're somebody like, I guess like Zach Bryan or Chris Stapleton, you don't have a choice. You have to go to an arena because, I mean, you don't have to, but I guess financially it just doesn't make sense.
The label's probably saying you don't have a choice. You have to do it.
Oh, yeah. Well, the label's a whole other thing. Yeah. So many rules.
Yeah. It's tough for smaller cities. You don't have a choice. Like there's only maybe one venue that could fit some of those guys in those cities. Like at least here in New York, you have 3 different arenas that you can maybe negotiate and use leverage against each other.
Yeah, I doubt that you could really do that. I mean, I wonder how much power these labels still have though after all this time though, because it's almost like you don't even need a label anymore. It's like you can make your own. Like, what difference does it make? Like, you know, how is a label helping the artist?
I don't know.
Like, back in the day, the way the labels were helping the artist was through the radio. Labels like, oh, we're going to get you on the radio. You get me on the radio? Okay, sure. Take half my pay. I don't care. You get me on the radio. Like, that was the only way you could get heard. But now, with the internet, I mean, this era, I feel like if you're getting, like, screwed over by your label... Like, what's the point of even having that label? Just have no label or don't... you know what I mean?
Yourself. Like,
I mean, I guess you need a label for, like, selling record purposes, right? Because you need, like, a company that is in the position to, like, make the records for you, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, connections maybe, but even then, like...
But other than that, like, if the label is, like... This is my thing. If the label is going to tell you what your album is going to sound like, then it doesn't make any sense. Like they're going to be like, oh, we don't like this song, don't put it on. It's like, you're the artist. Like, you're just the label. Like, you're not gonna... You should have zero say.
Yeah.
Zero say.
Because then you just
like, listen, if the label wants to drop you because they don't like your music, then fine. I guess the label can do that. But ideally, they shouldn't have any say at all. I mean... And then you can go back and say, oh, you have to play at these venues? Oh, my God, forget about it. Mm-hmm. The contracts that these guys get screwed over on is just unbelievable. And, I don't... It's funny, like, crying for a guy making millions of dollars, but, like, some of these guys really get screwed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, some of them are struggling. A couple of bands are saying that they're really having a hard time, like, touring.
Oh,
it's become to the point where it's not even worth touring sometimes.
But what do you mean? Like, they're not making enough money?
Yeah. Where they said, like, costs have just gotten skyrocketing. So everyone's getting a cut. Everyone's getting a bigger cut.
Well, I mean, I can definitely see the costs skyrocketing of everything. But to say that it's not worth it would mean that there's another way for you to make money.
Which there isn't. Yeah, no one's buying records, so you have to tour, or you have to sell to a commercial.
But I mean, realistically, right? I mean, I don't know. If you're, I guess it depends on how you look at it, but if you're a band that's obviously not some type of mainstream radio, like you can't sell out an arena, and you're like, you gotta believe that touring and doing small venues and selling out small venues and being able to sell your merch without somebody taking a cut, you got to be making a decent amount of money. I mean, the tickets are still... You know what I mean? Like, you're still got to be making a decent amount.
I think so. Yeah, probably make good living.
Like, you got to be comfortable, right?
Yeah, at least comfortable. I mean, just splitting it up.
Like, it's not like they're plumbers making more money than like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You split it sometimes 4 or 5 ways. I'm sure that eats into it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it depends on your level of success, but I'm just saying, like, if you were touring the country and just selling out every venue that could fit 1,000 people in it, let's say, you still got to be. You still got to be pretty good, especially with the merch. I feel like they would make more money off the merch than anything else. I think that's probably the biggest seller. Yeah. When you see, especially shows, you see line people buying the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them. every time.
Yeah, same.
I drop a lot of money on merch at shows. Yeah. But I mean, I feel like it's worth it, and you're supporting the band. You know what I mean? They're going to get screwed over on the tickets. Mm-hmm. You might as well support them the best way you possibly can. Yeah. You know. And you know,
if you want your favorite band to keep pouring, you got to spend money on them. Yeah, they're not there for fun. Well, they're for fun, but
just listening to them on Spotify is not going to keep them going. Yeah, that really. I mean, not for nothing. Spotify. I mean, it was Spotify, but all of them.
Yes,
you know,
streaming services
are great, but they really get killed on those. Like they're making pennies. Yeah. For like a penny every 10,000 listens. Yeah, something crazy.
Each fan's probably literally put a penny in their pocket. It's not doing anything listening.
I only know because my brother's on Spotify for his music. It's like, dude, you get like nothing. It's like every month they send me like a check for like 3 cents or something.
Thanks for your contribution.
It's like something crazy.
It's bad. And I love when bands like post it and it's like $1.27 for like 1 million views a total because it's split everyone, and then you get the venue and the cut, not the venue, the labels getting their cut. Yeah. Pay your management. So many hands in the pot.
Well, that's the other. I was about to say, if you were, like, let's say you were going to make like a music video and try to make revenue off that, because YouTube will pay you based on views because of the ad services or whatever, right? Because I heard YouTube actually pays well.
They pay pretty decently.
Yeah, they pay. But if you've noticed this, it seems like bands are in contract with music videos. Yeah. Like, what is that service? Vivo?
Yeah. I see them. They get like the collection. I guess they.
So that now you have to sign with these guys in order to get
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
I don't know how that works either. Yeah. But I just noticed that like that's a thing where like they're all under this one company. And like, how does that work? Can you just make your own and post it on your own account?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
Unless it has something to do again with the label, like.
Could be promotion based, like they get you higher up at it. But it's big bands. But you'll see the biggest bands on Vivo, and it's like they don't need promotion.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
I don't know. Very, very weird. Okay, so my other idea was, well, same idea, but for us specifically, was since we didn't pick a greatest album of all time to review on top, and since I had this idea that I'm about to tell you months ago and couldn't do it, can we do Highly Irresponsible from front to back right now?
Yeah, let's do it. Why not? We're here.
I wanted to, because that was going to be like one of my things. When I knew the album was coming out in October, and I was going to start this in like September. I was like, okay, this is great. We can do an episode just for Highly Irresponsible because we're looking forward to this album coming out or whatever, and we can give like a full review on it. And then time went by, and the album came out. And I'm like, this is like. But I guess it actually works out better now because now we have time to like listen to it. And I've listened to it at least 6 times front to back.
I've listened front to back to it.
Yeah. How do you feel about it?
I like it a lot. It's very good.
Did it meet your expectations?
Expectations, no, because they were super high. But I would give it a solid 7.5. I liked it a lot.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't think it was going to meet my expectations because that's normally how things work. I feel like if you're like waiting for an album to come out, you're like, oh, I can't wait for it. Like your expectations are already built up. Versus like if an album that you didn't know was coming out and then you just threw it and you're like, oh my god, this album's good. Like, it's like a different because you're coming from knowing nothing to Yeah. I don't want to say it didn't meet my expectations because the thing with this with a lot of let's actually, you know what? I think I have it because hold on a second. I ordered it beforehand, so I had it already. So the album is Highly Irresponsible by Better Lovers. Better Lovers is a metal band, metalcore, I guess. It's like,
hardcore, yeah.
Hardcore. I feel weird even saying metalcore because their sound is so different from metalcore bands.
It's not in the same, especially now.
Yeah. So it's a group formed by two of my favorite metal bands that broke up, Every Time I Die and the Dillinger Escape Plan. So it's Greg Pisciotto, the lead singer from Dillinger Escape Plan, lead singer for Better Lovers, Jordan Buckley, Will Putney from Fifth Floor Autopsy is on there. So obviously when this band came out, I was ecstatic that 2 of my favorite bands that broke up, formed a new band, and we're gonna make an album. I was like, yeah. So obviously, like waiting for this album to come out and how good their EP was, because their EP was phenomenal. Was it God Made Me an Animal? God Made Me an Animal.
That was a huge like intro. And when that came out, usually like when these bands form from like two great bands, it almost never lives up to what you hope.
No, yeah.
So when they put out, so when they put out the EP and it was like a 10 out of 10 for me, I was like, oh wow, all right, this is great.
Yeah. The EP was great. And then like then the problem comes. They're like, okay, now they're gonna make an album. I'm gonna have to wait for a year, and it's not gonna meet my expectations because I'm gonna wait a year to hear an album. And you can only pray that it's half as good as you want it to be. But the thing with their album, and much more like a lot of the Every Time I Die albums when they first come out, like I have to listen to it multiple times. Yeah. Like you listen to like a one, like you almost, it's like it blew past you. Like you have to really listen to it over and over again in order for it to like really sink in. And that's what I'm finding with this album is like every time I listen to it, I'm liking it more and more. Like I'm getting more deeper into the songs and like being able to like hear them like I guess clearer, you could say. But yeah, so like the first time I went through it, I'm like, okay, it's a good album. And then like now I think I've listened to it like 5 or 6 times. I'm like, this album is very good. Like I love it. Can I say it's better than Every Time I Die albums or Dillinger albums? It's tough, man. I mean, it's up there. It's definitely up there.
It definitely fits in with them, I think.
It's definitely up there, and I definitely don't think they should stop recording music together.
No, yeah, keep going.
It's definitely one of those, like, okay, you were able to put this album together after 2 bands broke up, and for it to be this good off the bat, that soon even? Because I was trying to think, like, when Every Time I Die broke up, that had to be
2-3 years ago, probably now.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say we saw them last year, so they started putting out music before that. Mm-hmm. So what did they record together? Like for a year, maybe?
Probably. Yeah.
Still pretty crazy.
They went through a couple of changes. Like Andy Williams was originally supposed to be in the band. I think not last minute, but he just decided.
Well, he was doing the wrestling.
Yeah, and I think he stuck with that.
Yeah, that stinks. I love Andy Williams.
I would love to see him, but I don't think he's doing anything ever again.
Yeah,
it seems like he's in like TNA. He's doing pretty well.
No, yeah, I know. I just I don't know. Yeah. In my head, I'm like, you could do both.
Yeah.
I guess you really can if you're touring, though. I mean, true. Like, I guess you would have to go like back and forth. He probably just didn't want to give it up,
Yeah. Got the opportunity, and just this is what he wants to do.
Yeah. I get it. I just he was awesome, man. I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, like I'm hyped, right? We're gonna see them Sunday night. I don't know when this is gonna air, so when this might air a week from then, we've already seen the movie. But this Sunday night at Warsaw.
I'm confident it's gonna be great because they never miss. Yeah. With live, it's
no. Yeah, I mean that's why I try to get people to go. I'm like, listen, we're going to see this band Better Love. It's like a metal show. Like, oh, it's like I'm like, yeah, but it won't even disappoint. Like, even if you don't like metal, it wouldn't disappoint because they put on such a great show. Like, they're so good at putting. I mean, Greg Pachado especially. I mean, he's out of his mind, but he knows how to put on a good show, and it makes it worth it going to see them every time. It's like I don't even want to miss a show now because they're so good at what they do. Yeah.
You could walk in, never listen to them, and I think you'll leave a fan at the minimum.
100%. That's what I was trying to explain to people. I'm like, you don't get it, though. I'm like trying to show them videos of when we saw them.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard sell for some people. If you're not into the genre.
No, I know. If you're not into the genre, yeah.
Maybe you will be if you go. But, yeah.
No, yeah, I know.
Sunday night's a hard one, too.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Sunday night's tough because, people got work in the morning. Mm-hmm. That's a hard sell, but I don't know. I think I'm probably not going to be out late that night whenever they go. I was looking at I think they're probably going to get on around like 9:30.
Yeah, it's pretty standard.
9:30 to 11 they'll probably play. Yeah. It looks like they're playing every song they've recorded. I think. Almost.
I think so. Yeah. I don't think they'll do their cover of Rusty Cage though.
No, they haven't been. Yeah. I mean, I've been checking. If they did, that'd be great, but they haven't been.
At the record store show, they were like fans were like trying to get him to do it, and Greg's like, "All right, let's do it." And then Will just goes, "I haven't played the song in 6 months. He's like, I can't do it." So he's like, "All right, we'll do this song," and then just did a different song, and they went right past it. was too bad. He was trying to get out, but the band was just like, we haven't practiced or rehearsed it. We can't do it.
Yeah, I guess that's something you got to realize too. Like, especially bands with like huge discographies. Like, if you haven't played a song, even though you recorded it, like if you haven't played it, like in a long time, like it's got to be. You can't just like pick it up and be like, all right, let's go. We're taking requests.
Whatever you got in mind. Haven't heard the song in 5 years.
But that's also probably why they have a set list that really doesn't change much throughout their tour, because you have to like, all right, this is what we're playing. We're going to play it over and like, you can't just throw something new in there because it's like, oh, we didn't play this in 3 months. Like, you can't just throw a new song.
Timing's off,
Yeah, so I mean, but it looks like they're going to play. I think it was almost every song off the maybe because I think they were doing 14 or 15 tracks in the past 2 shows.
Headlining, it's about normal.
So I think that's not everyone, because they're playing the 2 songs that weren't on the record, the Flowering and I forget the name of the other one, but I think they played those 2. So there's 2 songs on the album that I think they might not play.
Okay.
But I mean, other than that, it doesn't.
Yeah, like I said, it's not they have a ton of material to go through. So
it's great.
I mean, the first time we saw them, they did what? I think 8 songs. So this is a nice difference.
They were playing songs that weren't released.
Yeah.
Like that actually one of those songs is on the album now. People went back and changed the name because they didn't know the names. They went back and changed the names. Like, oh, this is the song.
Right. Yeah, they introduced new songs.
Yeah, but they played the 4 off God Made Me an Animal, the cover of Rusty Cage. And then maybe like 2 other songs or 3 other songs that like weren't even released that you didn't even know what they were playing. For some reason in my head, I thought, like, they'll probably just cover Every Time I Die. I'm like, nah, why would they do that?
I wonder. Yeah, I don't think anyone's done it. Yeah, Keith Ben doesn't play any of their songs either. I guess no one's doing it.
Well, I mean, you also want to like kind of separate yourself as like a new band, like you know what I mean.
That's the past, unfortunately.
I think though, like if they did stay a band for a long time, they probably would throw one in there. Like, you got like 5 albums out. Like at that point, like, who cares? Play,
They do a Dillinger song.
Play a Dillinger song.
Dillinger's probably more likely because I think they're on good terms. So I'm sure they could probably be like, let's play it.
Oh yeah, I guess that's the other. No, I think live though, it's not like copyright infringement. Like you play a live song, it doesn't matter. So I don't think that really matters.
No, there's nothing legally. It might just be like, we just don't even want to do each other's songs. No drama, no problem.
Yeah, but it was only Keith that really.
It literally that's the problem. It's only Keith that has the issue. Yeah. Did you listen to his band's album?
I didn't.
I was kind of disappointed on the one.
I was telling me, my friend was telling me that he made I didn't even know he made a band. They were like, oh yeah, Keith's band's pretty good too. I'm like, Keith has a band?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know that.
Doesn't have the same, because him and like I think just a bunch of like guys from like smaller bands that no one really knows.
Yeah, I think I looked it up. It was him and 2 other guys, and they weren't really in anything, other big bands or anything like that before. So, but yeah. So what? What's your favorite tracks off it? Do you have favorite tracks?
I love the White Horse Covered in Blood. That's a great one. Yeah, I know.
That's what's on
that one and Drowning in a Burning World.
Dude, the first time I heard that song, that was my favorite song. I was like, that song stuck out to me. Like, I was like, this is one of the best on the album by far. I would say a White Horse Covered in Blood, but that came out before, so I had heard it before already. But that was the first time I heard that was when I listened to the album. I was like, oh my god,
that was good.
That was a really good one.
Superman Died Paralyzed. Great.
Superman Died Paralyzed. How do you feel they did? Oh man, I can't even remember names of all the songs. I gotta look at this.
They're all like those long titles.
No, it's just I'm just shot. I'm not gonna remember the names of every song of every album. I think it's Deliver Us from Life and At All Times.
Yeah.
They played like differently. I was surprised. They went.
They had like demos, and then I think they must have changed it because it's at this point it's got to be almost a year ago we saw them, right? Or even more.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, those 2 songs don't sound like the rest of what I'm saying. He played, they're more like, I guess like Dillinger used to do kind of songs like that too, that weren't just all, metalcore, hardcore punk songs. Those are the songs that I think would get people into the band that weren't used to the sound of Every Time I Die or Dillinger. But I liked them. It's funny, like when you read reviews in the album, people will say like those are the worst songs. And I'm like, no, they're not. They just don't sound like the rest of the album. Like these people like purists, where if every song doesn't sound like this hardcore metalcore song and they hate the song. It's like so crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, even those songs I thought were great. The whole album is yeah, almost every song I think I really enjoyed.
There's no real weak points on the album.
No, there's really not. Like I said, the weak points that people thought are weak points, I don't even consider them weak points. I thought they were great songs too. Mm-hmm. I think people are just, trying to be a purist about the album. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was great. Front to back, I thought it was great. Like I said, I don't think I could really compare it to Every Time I Die or Dillinger.
No, yeah. They're definitely this difference. Yeah.
Because it's different. Obviously the sound's similar, but I don't know. I wouldn't like to compare it in that light, really. But I don't know. I thought it was great. I'm hyped. I can't wait to see him. Yeah. I'm hyped to see what they do in the future.
Yeah, same.
Like I was saying, I almost feel like, metal and rock in general are in this like, this lull in history where there's just not that many good metal or rock bands right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I was trying to think of like every great metal band I could think of that like started making music after 2010. Mm-hmm.
It's not a ton.
Like maybe 5 in 14 years. That's a long time where you're only getting like 5 new good artists. But I mean, it's wild, and it's kind of the same with rock. Like rock really just feels like it took like some type of weird turn where it's getting all experimental and just you're not getting the same rock and roll you were getting in the 90s and even 2000s. Because 2000s you had, I think, like the Strokes came out then.
You had that whole indie phase. Yeah,
but it was still good. I mean, you don't even have that now. Like I don't even know what phase of rock you have now that's really good. I mean. The new Jack White album was good.
I liked it.
Did you hear I didn't hear it yet. I wish I would have listened to it before this. The Cure put out a new album.
I listened to a little bit of it, yeah.
Did you?
It's like, it sounds like The Cure again.
Oh,
it's great. Yeah,
because it's got ridiculous reviews. People are saying it's like amazing.
Went number 1. Can't believe it.
Yeah. I was surprised because usually when like an old band from like the 80s and 90s tries to come back and do an album, it usually just sounds like garbage. Should have just.
They picked right up where they left off.
That's nuts.
I definitely recommend listening to it.
I really have to listen to that. Yeah,
I like
that's on my list right now that I gotta listen to.
Yeah.
I was trying to think. There was the Jack White album this year, then the Cure album. There's another one I can't think of now. I was trying to tell somebody new albums to listen to, but there's just not that many in rock in general. Yeah. Like from a year-to-year basis.
And everything is out there is very, very, I guess, I don't know about compartmentalized, but it seems like very, is there really nothing broad? Like nothing that everyone listens to when it comes to rock. I feel like it's very specific with some genres. And
there's not something that like, and people will be like, oh, rock and roll is dead. I'm like, all right, it's not dead. It's just, it's at a low point. I mean,
it's underground. Come on, it's quieter, it's smaller.
It's not as much, but I have confidence that it'll come back and revitalize. I feel like that's like the way the system goes. Like over time, like each genre will have this like very low points of like this. It kind of like fades out and then it comes back and it's just like amazing. Like at least that's what it was like in country and that's what it was like in hip hop.
It's having its moment again now.
Yeah, it comes. You kind of like. It kind of goes in a weird path and gets, not great, and then comes back like great later on.
It just takes like one or two bands just really doing a great album that'll bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still like, I'm trying to think. I know like the Foo Fighters album was actually really good. Mm-hmm. I tried to get people to listen to that because. It wasn't like their last 5 albums before that. I think, like, all honestly, the last album that I really liked by them that came out before that was the one from 2011. I think it was.
I know the one you're talking about. It wasn't
something with Light. I think.
Yeah. But I think the younger generations are getting back into rock, like guitar-based music now. I feel like it went away for a while. You can see that the young kids are getting into like how emo's having a big revival because it's all young kids getting into it. So I feel like as it started to grow, they might have some guitar bands coming back.
Yeah, who was telling us that there was like this emo revival? Was that Chad or something?
Yeah, because we had gone to, funny, went to emo night, and I'm looking around, I'm like, it's all 20-year-olds.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it'd be like people our age. It's like, no, it's all kids.
Oh, right. You guys went to some concert, right?
Yeah, and I couldn't believe it. I expected it to be it. Like I said, older people, but no. The kids are into it again. They're all back. All those bands are touring again.
I don't... Are they? What bands? Like, what? Census Fails.
Yeah, Chad went tonight, actually.
That's where he is tonight.
Yes, where he is tonight. But that's like Yellow Card, Story of the Year. They're all on tour again. They're doing like good venues. Whereas they probably were just gone for forever.
Yeah, you think those bands actually like stopped?
They were. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't heard anything of them. And now Warped Tour's back next year. It's small band. They're doing like a couple of shows. They're not doing like a full summer.
Yeah, but Warped Tour wasn't just that time. It was like all rock, really.
Yeah,
because I've been to Warped Tour and seen a lot of different bands, I feel like.
Started out more punk, but I think it expanded as it
went. Well, that's how it started. It started as like a punk thing, and then they just kind of like...
Got everything.
Whatever rock is they can get, they got. But that
actually, first time I saw Dillinger was on Warped Tour.
Oh, yeah? I only saw Dillinger... And every time I done?
Yeah, different years, but yeah.
So, yeah, I want to say the reason... I don't know if it was Warped Tour or Bamboozle, but... The way I heard about them initially was because they played at one of those. I don't remember if it was Warped Tour or Bamboozle. I saw them at Bamboozle, but I think I heard about them. They played Warped Tour like the year before that, and that's how I heard about them, and I started listening to them. And then I seen them at Bamboozle like the next year, and even the show they put on there, like one of the smaller stages, was like crazy. Yeah. And like at that point, I guess it didn't mean as much to me because I had just started going to concerts at the time. I think I was 17 and I really hadn't gone to concerts before that. But I just remember them doing like a giant circle pit. I remember like somebody threw Keith a beer and he just chugged it on stage. I'm like, these guys are crazy. I'm like, this is awesome. I've never seen this before. Yeah. And then a few years later, I seen Dillinger at what it was then was probably the Best Buy Theater. I don't know what it is now.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the sickest show I've ever seen to date. Mm-hmm. Like, that guy puts on a show. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just crazy stuff during the show that I just remember, like, I couldn't be kept. I'm like, I threw the mic into the crowd. I'm like, wait, the lead singer and the guitarist are crowd surfing at the same time while playing the song? I'm like, this is the wildest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. Oh, man. Like,
no one can match it.
No one's
willing to.
It's tough. I mean, like, to put on a show like that, it's tough. Yeah. It's tough because you got to be skilled enough to do it, and you got to, like, just be willing to, like, throw it all out there. Mm-hmm. Like, you would throw the crowd into the microphone? Like, you gotta hope you get that back. You know what I mean? Like, that's a wild idea. I remember when he did it, I'm like, is he gonna get that back?
Still got more songs
how do you continue? Like, you got trust, and he got it back. And I'm like, that's nuts. Like,
you lose a couple over the tour. You spend all your money on microphones.
Well, I mean, not even that. You can buy 100 microphones, but you gotta, like, stop the show.
Yeah, you get a new one.
I mean, that's got to be, like, the hardest part. I mean, like, and just, like, the idea of, like, a lead singer crowd surfing is funny, too. Because, like, you're putting yourself, or even in Irving Plaza, he jumped off the second story into the crowd. I'm like, yo, the faith in your fans is through the roof. I mean, it's, you know, I've seen guys, like, jump into the front of it and then just get pushed back, you know, stuff like that. Yes. Like, okay, yeah, security's right there. You know, there's a fence. you're protected. We get it. But him, he does not care. Like,
physical toll for a tour.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. I remember, like, oh, these guys are, but they've been doing this for years now. Mm-hmm. Probably, like, over 20 years. Yeah, Calculating Infinity came out in 99.
Jeez, yeah.
25 years this guy's been doing this, and he's got to be older than me then.
Yeah,
like, easily. And he's you know,
he's got to be in his 40s.
Got to be mid-40s, I would think, at least.
Yeah.
How much longer? And you know what's funny? I think that was the reason they gave for breaking up.
Yeah.
Was that they were getting too old.
Yeah.
we're getting too old to play songs from Calculating. Which makes sense. Yeah. How old? Because, like, that music, like, I guess there's some type of metal, like even Metallica. You could not move around a lot, I guess, and you could still do tours in your 60s, but those shows? How long can you do those shows for? Yeah. That's a young man's game. You got to be a kid to do that.
Yeah. Jumping off the top.
Jumping off balconies into crowds and stuff? Yeah. Dude, you can't be going into your 50s doing that. I mean, he looks like he's in good shape. Yeah. You know, he knows what he's doing. Obviously, been doing it for 25 years, but still, man, you can't be doing that forever. Like, you gotta hope there's bands out there that are gonna be able to replace that. I don't know, man. I mean, that's like a once in a lifetime thing, being able to see them guys play. It's wild.
I don't know anyone else has done that.
No, I climbed the speakers to a balcony and then jumped off into the ground. No, I've been to hundreds of shows. I've never seen anything close.
Same.
And I mean, like, there are other bands that put on great shows, but you can't. I mean, to do what he does, it's tough, man. I mean, it's a lot of trust. It's a lot of physical toll on your body. It's crazy. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. But that's what you know what's funny? I actually thought about it too. I'm like, I don't think there's anything for him to jump off of. It was I was like, I don't know what he's gonna do, but he's got to do something.
You'll figure it out.
Imagine, but I also thought of that too. I was like, they're touring across the U.S. You're going to a different venue every time you play. You gotta you see backstage figuring it out. Like, what can I do?
What am I doing? Charted out.
It's gotta be something.
Yeah. Yeah, make it
what can I climb? Is there anything I could climb?
Or is it in the moment? You just see something, goes, I'm going for it.
I don't know. Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's like that stuff pre-planned. Like you would think that it is, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just off the. I don't know. If it's off the rip, that makes it even crazier because it's like.
Just going for
who knows? Yeah, you didn't test anything. Like, how's this railing doing?
This guy up here gonna push me off. That's great.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. I can't wait.
Me neither.
And I think it's gonna be good. Yeah. But dude. I think this was a success.
Yeah.
We had
so far.
three great albums. But do you like that idea of doing a third album on top, a greatest album of all time type thing?
Yeah.
Maybe I was thinking what I'll do is I'll take 10 and then let the guests pick out of those 10.
You do that, yeah.
You know, I don't want to force an album on anyone.
No, of course.
So I'll be like, all right, here's a 10 greatest albums from that genre. Yeah. Pick one, and then we'll do a third on top, and that one will be kind of easy because
probably don't even need 10 of them. You could, if someone if it's one of those great albums, probably
you probably pick 5. Yeah, probably. I could probably just do 5. Yeah. That makes more sense, I guess.
Yeah. So from this genre, which one would you pick? You think the garage rock? Where would you pick?
Well, that's what I was saying. I don't know if I should go when I do the greatest album of all time. I don't know if I should go that deep into the genre or just say rock.
Just anything in general. Okay.
Just any rock album. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. That's when you would pick a Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd or whatever. Whatever one you want. Radiohead, because the genre is wide open at that point. Because the way I was thinking of it is you're never going to get to those albums. Because when are you ever going to get to an album where somebody picks that's within the genre of classic rock? You're not really going to get that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was like, the third one I would just open it up to
just giant albums that everyone knows.
Yeah, huge albums that everybody knows, or maybe not everybody knows, but hopefully most people know, and then you get to kind of listen to that from front to back for the first time in a while. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. It'd be interesting, with other not just rock, but hip hop and metal to go back and listen to the greatest metal albums of all time, the greatest hip hop albums of all time, and then kind of dissect them a little bit. It's a cool thing to do, because I started doing it with a lot of the greatest albums, but it gives you a different feel for what the artist was trying to create. So I think that whole idea kind of works out.
Yeah, physical medium still exists.
Yeah,
still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize you had so many. I saw them.
It's not. You know what's funny though? It kind of looks like more than it is. Okay. I think. I remember somebody asked before I put them in Discogs. Somebody asked me well, how many you got? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it's got to be thousands. I'm like, I don't know, maybe like 5,000. And then I'm like, and then I actually counted them out. It's only, this is only 1,600. So it's actually not that. I mean, I guess it's a lot.
It's a good collection, yeah. So it's definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah.
Good setup.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it'll ever really pay off, but
no. I wouldn't.
Or not only that, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to part with them anyway. So that doesn't really make a difference. Like, I don't know what number somebody would throw at me. It'd be like, I'll give you $1 million. And be like, all right, I'll start over here. It's not worth $1 million. So
your kid's gonna be the one selling it. Dad's
that's
old
the whole
records
thing. Yeah, they just throw them out. They're at a yard sale.
Yeah,
$1 each. Yeah, well, that's, you know, you can't take them with you when you go, you know?
Yeah, exactly. All right, man.
I
think we did. I think it was good.
Dude, it was great. Thank you for doing it with me. I appreciate it.
This is great.
I appreciate all the input, your album pick, your support.
Of course.
Helping me through this whole process.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you. And we can do this whenever you want. Pick another album, and we'll get this done again. Because I'm sure you're going to be on multiple times, man. I mean, there's not a lot of people that I know that are into as many genres as me and you. Because we could do an episode on, you know, a bunch of different genres.
Yes,
you know,
we can pick everything. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you again, man.
Had a great time.
So long, everyone. Thank you.